Baldur's Gate 3 on the Steam Deck OLED. If you want to see how it runs on the LCD version, I also have a video on that. So 800p, 90Hz, HDR calibration. For some reason, the first time you launch the game, this is fine. But when you do it in the options menu, I don't know, it's kind of broken. So yeah. I mean, you cannot see the reference image. Anyway, there's FSR 1 and 2. I recommend using quality. Then when it comes to settings, everything on low, medium textures, TAA, sometimes this turns off by itself, not sure if it's a bug with the UI. Ambient occlusion, yes. Depth of field, I personally don't enjoy this setting, so I turned it off. God rays, yes. Bloom, yes. Subsurface scattering, yes. Slow HDD mode, I recommend using this if you have an SD card. And dynamic crowds is disabled. And well, we have... how to say this? This game is heavily CPU limited in Act 3, which is quite a few hours into the game. I think it's like 50 hours in. So yeah, we're in actual Baldur's Gate. But you might say, why do you say CPU limited if the GPU is maxed out? Well, that's a good question. That's because we only have a 15 watt TDP. And on those 15 watts, it needs to be shared between the CPU and GPU. So when the CPU requires it, it takes away from the GPU clock. The GPU clock right now is at 1100. Not sure if you can see that correctly. I think that's better. So yeah, maximum is 1600, but we cannot get there because, well, TDP limitation. The CPU is doing work, so it takes it from the GPU. Some people might say, oh, but you can force a higher clock speed, and that's true. You can force 1600 or 1400. The thing is, you're still going to drop frames because the CPU cannot do its job, so we'll have low GPU usage, so pick your poison. It's basically the same. As you can see, it's actually better to let the Steam Deck do its thing. But yeah, Act 3, as you can see, it's pretty demanding. I mean, on many systems, on the ROG Ally, I also dropped below 30 here. My advice personally is to lock the game at 30 FPS. I mean, at least in the city, you get something like this. Lowering the settings doesn't help, unfortunately. It's something to do with the area of the game and how it renders the city. I mean, considering in this game you're just walking around here and there's turn-based stuff, I don't think it's a huge deal. I mean, it's annoying to move around the city with a spiky frame time, don't get me wrong. I'm not defending that. But yeah, I mean, the game is, at least in this part, pretty CPU demanding, as I said. On the ROG Ally, I could get closer to the 30 FPS target, but it still dropped below 30, so yeah. For handheld machines, I think it still has... we still need better CPU performance. Again, this is Act 3, 50 hours in. This would be the worst case scenario. But I wanted to show it to you because, let's be realistic, if you're playing this game for an extended period, eventually you're going to get to the city. But I gotta say, this game looks beautiful in the OLED screen. They did a great job with the HDR. Let me show you. We go here. You can put the brightness at the absolute maximum, and as you can see, the camera cannot keep up. So yeah, you can get very bright images, which is great. The dynamic range is really there. So yeah, this is again a stress test. This is as bad as it gets. Doesn't get worse than this. You can also pull the camera out and look from the upper side if you're interested. Alright, welcome back. This is the prologue. This is where the game starts, basically.
The ship won't be able to take another dragon attack.
And yeah, as you can see, it runs significantly better. Now the GPU can actually get to more than 1200 MHz. The CPU is not crying as much, so it lets the GPU do its thing, which is awesome. That's how it should be at all times. But there's way less stuff going on here. I mean, look at this. It's not a huge city with lots of NPCs. Alright, so now we're in a part that we gotta flee from the ship. This is the very beginning. And now is one of the first times you actually engage in combat. So it's usually... let's just run away.
No time for mercy.
And it's weird to play this with a controller. I've been playing on my PC with mouse and keyboard. But hey, it is what it is. I'm not going to know what I'm doing, just to let you know. With a controller, I haven't played much really, only on Steam Deck. It's more of a mouse and keyboard game for me, personal preference of course, but I'm glad that they adjust this to actually work natively with a gamepad, instead of doing what other developers do, that is just use a trackpad as a mouse. It's very comfortable using a controller. Alright, so after the very brief prologue that you escape from a ship, I'm not going to give more details. You end up on a beach and it runs even better than the prologue. So in these parts of the game, you're going to have a good experience. I mean, when it comes to smoothness, it's way better. So for the sake of consistency and battery life, to have more than 2.5 hours, 30 FPS lock, settings that I showed at the very beginning of the game. Let's go to 30 FPS. And it should be 30 until Act 3, basically. In Act 3 in the city, well, you saw it yourself. And the game still looks pretty good. I'm pretty impressed, again, on the HDR screen. How it uses it. It's actually pretty impressive, at least in my opinion. And well, in combat in this part, again, not really an issue. Super easy to run it at 30 consistently. It's still using one core 100% for some reason. And the frame time is spiky, but again, it's not like I'm playing a Twitch shooter or something like that. I think considering what this game is about, this is fine. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. It works well, just put the settings that I recommend. Maybe put shadows on medium if you want better shadows in this particular location.
On my way.
But later on in the game, it's going to affect GPU performance quite significantly. So my advice is to keep it like this. Quality FSR2 looks pretty good on this one, on the smaller screen, let's be honest. So yeah. Thanks to the smaller screen, we can actually tolerate upscaling pretty well. And you can move the camera around. The text is a little bit small in my opinion, but how they translated the controls for gamepad instead of mouse, I think it works pretty well like that. So anyway, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Would I recommend Baldur's Gate 3 on Steam Deck? Until Act 3, yeah, sure. After Act 3, it gets pretty low when it comes to frame rate, but if you don't mind that because it's not a Twitch shooter thing and it's a turn-based game, go for it. I think there's lots of hours of gameplay. Just log it to 30 to have more than 2.5 hours of battery. That would be like 3 hours, I would guess, on the OLED Steam Deck. And also the ROG Ally and LCD Steam Deck, I have tests for that in the comment below, so go check those out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see ya next time. Bye guys.